Hey everyone, welcome to my channel if you are new here, or welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a little bit different, so let's get into it. Just a quick disclaimer that I'm actually filming at the end of the video, but it is at the beginning. I just wanted to say that I do not consider this a disease or a mental illness or something like that. Autism just means that the person sees the world in a different way. They are in no way, shape, or form disabled, and they are capable of so much, and they are capable of so much love, and they have so many capacities that us that are normal functioning do not have. So I do believe that kids like Gertrude are here to teach us and not the other way around. So I just want to leave that disclaimer here. I am just sharing the information on the signs and symptoms that we saw in my son. Everyone is different. And I am sharing the diagnosis they gave to me and the steps we are going to take. It does not mean that it is the same everywhere else. So he is in no way, shape, or form different to me, and he is in no way, shape, or form disabled or has an illness. We in any hour consider that. So today, as you can see, I'm in a little bit of a different setup. I decided to sit down and film this video mainly to give you all some more information. So you can tell by this title what the video is about. So let's get into it. For those of you that have been following me for quite a while, you have probably seen Artur in some of my videos, or you can probably hear him in the background. You can see that I try to keep my kids off camera as much as possible, just because nowadays the internet is pretty cruel. So I did decide to film this video because I think there is still so much misinformation out there and just loads of myths and a lot of parents that don't really know what to look for. So I think that since I had the help that I needed and I was alert to the signs that we saw, I decided to explain to you all why we decided to get Artur tested and also what it's going to be like from now on. Okay, so I thought that the easiest way to start this would probably be the signs that we picked up throughout his first 3 years. So Artur was born, he had a normal birth, my pregnancy was completely fine, I had no health issues. And then when he started to grow up, he was a kid that he didn't really like to look at you, but he was always a very happy kid. So he was always laughing, and anything that you did to make him laugh, it would work. So we started noticing that he was maybe behind other kids when he started to crawl really late. He started walking when he was past the 18-month stage. He actually only really started forming phrases after he was 2. Before that, he was just really hard to communicate with. And he's always been an extremely picky eater. He always loved soups, anything that was easy to swallow, but things that he had to chew, it was just really, really hard for us to feed him, especially meat. Artur, up to this day, he will eat chicken, he will eat pork, but anything that looks like cow's meat, he prefers to avoid. And that goes for vegetables as well, things that have different textures. It just makes him feel very awkward. So when we started noticing those signs, we did talk to his doctor at the time. In Portugal, we don't have like pediatricians through the health system. It's normally just a general doctor. What happened was she would get basically opinions from the attending pediatrician, and they always said everything was fine, not to worry about it. Some kids were just late bloomers, so we kind of let it slide. When we started noticing other little things like he doesn't really like eye contact, and he most of the time walks on his toes and not on his flat foot. Um, he doesn't like loud noises, so anything that has to do with the vacuum or loud noises outside or loud music, he will avoid. So I started expressing concerns to my doctor, and they always said to me that it was because he had never been around other kids and he hadn't been growing up in an environment, in like a school environment. So they sent two nurses to our house in Portugal to see him in his normal day-to-day ground, which is his house, and they insisted on what the doctor said. So basically, they just said he was lacking school. He needed to go to school and get into a normal environment with other kids. Um, but obviously, that was extremely hard in the circumstances that we were in Portugal at the moment, especially because he was already 3.5 and we were about to move to Switzerland. So that's when they actually started to pick up on things. When we moved to Switzerland, I did take him to see a pediatrician that was also a psychiatrist for kids. And he said that he was normal. He had an office full of toys, like all around. And he said that Arthur was normal. He just really needed school and less tablet. That was what the doctor said. But there was just something bugging me, so I said, no, I want to see a different doctor, and I did go see a different pediatrician. And what stood out to her was the fact that he had an he performed something, he did something that we had never seen him do before, and she was kind of shocked by it, and so were we. They made him take his clothes off so they could weigh him, and he was just in his underwear. And he basically went up to the doctor, pulled his underwear down, and started shaking from side to side. Um, Obviously, we were kind of telling him not to do that and trying to like calm him down and things like that. So that was one of the signs that actually made him be sent to be seen in an autism center. But we were warned that we were probably going to wait a while since the list was quite long. Now, for the actual diagnosis in itself, things were pretty smooth. We didn't wait long to be called to the Autism Centre, actually. It was just a couple of months, I think in December. I got a letter to go and basically do an overall evaluation. We got loads of questionnaires at home to fill out and to bring in on that first evaluation, which I was in there. So basically, I was sat with my auntie and Maria, and we were talking to the doctor, and Artur was at the side with a different doctor playing with him just to assess how he was interacting. And after that appointment in December, they actually told us to follow back on in February for 3 different sessions, which would be to actually assess him properly, but just him. So that's what we did. We went back in February and he did all his assessments. So the first day, I was in there with him to translate. So the first day, they were doing like cognitive exams with him. So they did like loads of activities with little cubes and with animal figures and things like that. So to test his memory and to see like if he had to do something really fast, if he could remember it, and to remember the order of things and how things like that went. The second day, they basically played with him. So he was sat down with a psychologist and they were playing, and the psychologist would call his name over and over and over again and he wouldn't reply. I think after 4 or 5 times the psychologist called his name, Artur just went, but didn't look at the psychologist. So that's just another thing, like he won't answer to his name most of the time. It's like he doesn't hear you. And so that was the second day, and then I had to go in for another questionnaire kind of session where they basically sat me down with the translator and the doctor, and they just like asked loads and loads of questions that I was basically repeating myself. And then I had to go back for the results. I think it was mid-February, so I've known about his diagnosis for nearly a month now. Today is the 30th of March. So I went back and they gave me the diagnosis. So they diagnosed him with autism, and they did say they didn't want to do the hyperactivity diagnosis yet because he is only 4, going on 5 years old this year. So they find it a little bit early to do so. I think it's after the kids turn 6 that they start evaluating for that. So basically what they did was they gave me this blue folder with loads of informations and contacts, and what they said was he has to go see a speech therapist, mainly to help with the fact that he doesn't speak French. He is a little behind in Portuguese, which is his native language. It's what we speak at home. So he is a little bit behind on that, but it's not something drastic. So he has to see a speech therapist. He has to see an occupational therapist as well to help him with his coordination, with his independence, with his social skills as well, because it's just not something that he's very good at. They also said that they are going to be sending a nurse to our house to assess his independence on everyday chores like taking a bath and brushing his teeth, going to the toilet, zipping up a coat, and things like that. Other than that, I was advised to see a parenting coach. There is a video I want to make about some underlying mental illness that goes on in our house, but I have decided to hold off on that just with everything that's going on. But if it's something you would like to see, do let me know. So because of that, and because kids with, here it's called TSA, kids with TSA aren't easy to deal with. There are different ways to deal with them. So they advised me on that, and they also said that if Lucas wanted to go, then he should, seeing as he is Arthur's stepdad. Other than that, they are going to try and fit him into a normal school, as long as he has one person just for him. So he basically will have a teaching assistant or a teacher just for him in the classroom, mostly to help him deal with the whole environment, because when there is a lot of people or a lot of noise or a lot of toys or color, something that will throw him off, he can't concentrate and he will get very, very active. So it's mainly for that. Other than that, they have told me that I will be having a social worker come to my house on the 6th of April, and she will be filling out loads of forms with me so that he can be accepted into something called the AI. It's basically an invalidity. Basically, it's an invalid insurance where they will be covering all of his treatments for the fact that he does have an autism diagnosis. So there is that, seeing as in Switzerland, most of the treatments like ergotherapy, which is occupational therapy, and speech therapy, they aren't always covered by our health insurance. So basically, they give us that diagnosis, they gave us those steps, and this Friday already, the 1st of April, I do have the parenting coach. It's going to be me and Artur, and then on the 6th I have the social worker, so everything is undergoing. The only thing is the occupational therapy is a waiting list of 3 to 9 months. Depends on the place. One is 3 to 6, the other is 6 to 9, so we don't know when he's going to be called in to be doing that therapy. So apparently he decided to join us. Deixa a mamãe falar, amor. Dás beijinho? Te amo.
Te amo, mãe, eu tô com fome.
Tá bem, a mãe vai dar papo. So I just want to say that getting an autism diagnosis isn't easy. It isn't easy for a person for themselves, and it definitely isn't easy on us parents, especially when it's a kid. But I think deep down we always knew there was something about him, so it wasn't that much of a shock. We're just concerned about what the future holds, really, because we do know that the world is pretty cruel and that unfortunately autism is something that is still very misunderstood. So that is going to be our fight from now on to get him integrated with everyone and in school and in the right therapies in order for him to reach his full potential like any other kid. That is going to be my fight as a mum for him to not be treated any differently because I don't think he deserves to be. So, for any parents out there that do need a little chat or just to talk about your own experience, you can feel free to email me or just DM me on any social media. I will be open to hear you and to chat. So I hope to see you guys in my next video, and I guess that's it. Bye.